Hi, I'm Ricc Rollins, and welcome to this edition of Going Places. I hope your morning's amazing. We're here at the Enchant exhibit at West Shore Plaza. Here's what's coming up on today's show. Lauren Gay, the outdoorsy diva, takes us on part 3 of her Icelandic adventures as we go sightseeing. Dr. Duputi talks about pets and Thanksgiving. We also talk with the owners of Eggs Up Grill, John and Priscilla Conyers, our business spotlight of the week. And we'll talk with Arlene Brooks about year 3 at Coffee Speaks and Tea Talks and the season finale of Jazz Under the Stars. We'll also talk with Mark Jenkins from AAA about what to do before you get on the road for Thanksgiving. All of this and more coming up on this edition of Going Places, starting right now.
There's no shortage of fun things to do in Iceland. I'm so excited to show you the adventures Iceland has in store for us. There's a great indoor activity in the harbor district called Fly Over Iceland.
I'm here at Fly Over Iceland, getting ready to check out this cool experience, so stay tuned.
If you've ever done the ride Soaring at Disney Epcot, then you know exactly what to expect. This is an indoor attraction that takes you through multiple rooms using state-of-the-art video technology to tell you about some of the history and folklore of Iceland. It is very well done and informative. After you navigate through the rooms, then you head to the ride, where you sit in these seats that give you the simulation of flying. It takes you over remote locations in the backcountry of Iceland that many people, even native Icelanders, never see for themselves. As you soar over these fantastic landscapes, you have the sensation of the wind flying through your hair and smells, making it a totally immersive experience. The gift shop is really cool to dive a little bit more into the Icelandic history and folklore that you learned about in some of those rooms.
Now I'm here at the famous Black Sand Beach. They've got black sand and basalt columns. It looks a lot like the Giant's Causeway in Ireland.
This beach is one of the most iconic scenes in all of Iceland, and it was made famous because there were scenes from the Game of Thrones series that were filmed right here. It's famous for the black sand, but also for these amazing basalt columns, which were formed by the way the lava was cooled many thousands of years ago. You can also see columns like this at the Giant's Causeway in Iceland and in Mammoth Lakes, California. This beach, while it's really beautiful, is only made for looking, not swimming. Many people get swept out to sea and have to be rescued every year. Next, our tour took us to the cute, quaint town of Ricc. This town provides spectacular views of the black sand beach, the glaciers in the distance, and there's even a lighthouse that you can go up and check out. This lookout point can get extremely windy, so you have to be very careful while you're up there, but it was a lot of fun. The views at this lookout point are spectacular. Look at that. One of the neat things about Iceland is that it's one of the few places in the world where you can explore the tectonic plates where they meet because they're exposed. So on this trip, I really wanted to do the activity where you can snorkel between the North American tectonic plate and the Eurasian plate. This activity is no joke. You have to wear pounds of gear to keep you warm. The water is about 35 degrees year-round and never freezes over. But look at these views. This is some of the most pristine water clarity in the entire world. The spheres are opened up hundreds of years ago from an earthquake. It filled with water from an underground spring that's fed from a glacier. What lives in it? This lime green seagrass and algae.
I did it. It's really beautiful, really cold, but worth it.
And afterwards, they give you hot chocolate to warm you up.
Look out this way. You can see this ridge. That's the crevice that I snorkeled in this morning. That's the ridge between the North American tectonic plate and the Eurasian plate. Pretty cool.
If you'd rather stay dry, you can explore the tectonic plates by walking on the path that takes you through the fissure, or you can see it from above. This entire area is a national park. There's gift shops, interpretive exhibits, and you can learn about some fascinating history that took place right here in this land. One natural feature I didn't realize Iceland had is geysers. A lot of this landscape reminded me very much of Yellowstone National Park. They've got their own version of Old Faithful. Walking around downtown Reykjavik is super cute. There's no shortage of shops and also lots of museums to explore. What do you think, Rick? Are you ready to plan your trip to Iceland?
Lauren, yes, my bags are packed and I can't wait to go to Iceland. When we come back, Dr. Nabuki talks about pets and Thanksgiving. His Going Places continues right after this.
Good morning. What is your coffee saying? My coffee today is saying serenity. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things that I can. And wisdom to know the difference. Enjoy life one cup at a time.
Welcome back to this edition of Goin Places. We are back at Royal Pets at the Market and Resort. And the doc is back in the house with yet another special guest. This is
Blue.
Hey Blue. Blue is a happy dog.
Yeah,
okay?
big liquor.
And so Blue is excited because it's almost time for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Thanksgiving. Let's talk about what you do and do not do during Thanksgiving. What's the do's and Thanksgiving? Blue,
So,
do you want to tell us? Come here, Blue. Let's see. Come here.
So the do's are like any holiday. You want to make sure to include your baby, with you, with the family as much as possible because they love you guys. They want to be there.
Yeah.
The other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to feed them human food.
Okay, can you say that again for the people in the back?
Yeah. So for the majority of people, do not feed your dog human food.
Okay.
Okay. There are many reasons for that. Many reasons.
Okay, I was gonna add, that was gonna be my clue because there's grandma who just thinks that the dog is so cute and the dog looks so hungry.
Yep.
Why should we not give the pet people food?
That's right. So the main reason is because it can upset their pancreas. Okay. A lot of the stuff we give, it has lots of fats and oils. I always tell people it's barely healthy for us. So now we're giving it to them. They're a smaller organism, okay? And it really does affect their pancreas. And that is literally right here. So if you upset that, you get vomiting, diarrhea, you get painful abdomen. So our biggest day of treating pancreatitis, no joke, is the day after Thanksgiving.
Wow.
The day after.
Wow.
Now there are other hazards too, okay? Such as if you give bones, okay? That can scrape the intestines. That could poke through the stomach.
So all the things that we think are okay are not okay.
They're not okay. I always recommend checking with your vet first before you just want to give something besides the normal dog treats, the dog food. Now, I will give you a little bit of a caveat with the sense that, if you're giving skinless, boneless, lean, non-seasoned boiled chicken or rice, that's okay.
Okay, because that's what my friend Pat, she's cooking that. She's doing meal prep for her 2 fur babies every week.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
Some people will cook like sweet potatoes. That's okay.
Okay.
Broccoli, green beans. Those things are fine, but you don't want, like, specifically if
But
you're
they
looking.
should not be seasoned.
Exactly. No
Okay.
seasoning whatsoever.
Okay.
You're talking like steamed or boiled.
No salt.
Yeah. Or just frozen green beans. They make a great treat if you just break them and give them. They're crunchy.
Okay.
Dogs love them.
You heard it here on Goin Places. Okay.
That's right. So, but the main things that people think about with food, which, is like garlic, onions, chocolate, those things, you definitely don't want to give those. So stay away from those at all times.
Yeah.
Or grapes or raisins. Don't give those.
Okay, that's what I was going to do. Because I have I saw this lady, she was walking through the mall with her dog, and it was not a service dog. Okay. My pet peeve.
That's a whole nother story. That's a whole,
And she was feeding the dog grapes, and I said, ma'am, you can't do that. I can do whatever. I said, okay. whatever. And she didn't want to listen. So, but I'm glad somebody, now you have it on the record. Do not give your dog grapes.
Or raisins.
Or raisins.
They will damage the kidneys and lead to kidney failure. You do not want to give those.
Okay, what else shouldn't we give? Okay, can I ask you milk?
Milk, again, there's a lot of fat in there.
Okay.
So, I know some people give it to cats, which you just gotta watch them again because
I know they don't like cats. I get it.
They may get a little sick on it, but with dogs, I wouldn't just because of the fat content.
Ice cream.
Ice cream, actually, vanilla ice cream. That usually is an okay thing.
Okay.
Or a pup cup.
Okay.
Sometimes people get these little whipped cream things. That's okay. And I know they have dairy in it, but it's just a little.
Okay.
It's just a little, and that's okay.
So, if nobody's listening at the table, how do you politely tell them, don't give my dog or my fur baby food? How do you handle that?
Well, what I usually
tell them I'm gonna hand you the bill.
No joke. No, I was about to say it. I'm like, usually if people do not want to listen, I'm like, okay, so when my dog gets sick, you're paying for the hospital bill.
There you go.
Yeah, because it's usually 2 to 3 days sometimes of hospitalization, blood work. In treatment, it gets very expensive.
Right.
Yeah, and they can get really sick. So the best thing and the cheapest thing to do is to just not give human food if possible. If they are seducing you with their eyes.
Yeah,
and I tell my pet parents,
how could you say no to this?
I just say, look away. Look away.
Wow.
Because once you get stuck with it, you're gonna give it to them. So you just gotta train yourself. Gotta train yourself.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Luke, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for being such an entertaining co-host. And is there a final piece of advice you'd like to give our viewers?
Yes. If you do happen to give some things to your pet, okay, and then they get a little bit of loose stools and you're worried, here at Royal Pets, we do have like organic canned pumpkin that can help with their stools. We have probiotics. We have things over the counter that can help. But again, if it gets severe, give us a call.
Right.
We can see you on the vet side and we can, figure out what happened and treat your baby and get them right as rain.
Okay. For more information about Royal Pets, the QR code is coming up right now, and we'll have more Going Places right after this. Thank you, Blue.
And do we want to do anything about if you're going places,
Okay. Yeah,
like
yeah.
3 tips or something?
Okay, that's good because we can actually put that in. Okay. Let's see, 3, 2, 1. So if you're going places, the doc has some tips just for you.
So when it comes to Thanksgiving and holiday events, really make sure, try to stay away from human food, okay? If you make the mistake, just know that your vet is there for you, and we do have things over the counter like probiotics, pumpkin, things like that can help you. But in general, have a good time with the holidays, but talk with people, friends, family. Make sure they're not sliding them treats or anything because I don't want to have to see them in the next week or so afterwards, okay?
When we come back, we'll talk with the owners of Eggs Up Grill as we celebrate National Black Restaurant Week right after this. So what's the experience been like so far? Now you're in, you came into it, you said, we're excited about the business, and here we are 2 years later. So you opened in the pandemic.
Correct. Yeah, it was like, you could say it was the pandemic, but it was like towards the tail end of the pandemic.
Okay. So what's it been like for you in these 2 years?
At times extremely challenging. And when it's not extremely challenging, then it was challenging. but Priscilla and I, we had a chance to learn more about ourselves, learn more about better customer service relationships, and just really just forging relationships with the community and building a brand of who we are. We love to take part and do things with the community and treat everyone like they're our family here.
In fact, Priscilla, the room that you're in now, that's your community room, correct?
Yes, it is. It's called our community coop, and it holds about 15 to 16 people comfortably.
Mhm.
We reserve the room for guests to be able to come in if they wanted to have a little soiree or a get
Mhm.
together. We even have the room reserved a couple times out of the week for morning Bible study groups.
Oh,
We have a
wow.
photographer that comes in to utilize the room because we also have a television screen. So
Mhm.
they have actual meetings in here as well. So it's truly a community dining space. Absolutely.
That's wonderful. And I think that any business, the biggest mistake any business can make is not to make sure that the community knows that they're there and to be interactive with the community. So that's great that you would even do that. So kudos on that. So tell me this, if I came to breakfast this morning for breakfast, what would you suggest that I have?
Oh my goodness, Rick. It's so many decisions, but I would say for me, it changes every day. So depending
Okay.
upon what mood I'm in, that's what I would recommend. So today I am in a sweet and savory mood. So I would highly recommend the banana pudding French toast. Yes, banana pudding
You got
French
me
toast.
on there. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Jesus, you didn't got
Get
me.
a load of that, right?
You know what? Let me tell you something. You got to thank Arlene Brooks because I did not like banana pudding until I had hers. And now to have your banana
Mm.
pudding French toast. Okay, so that's one thing. I'll say, John, what is your favorite?
Oh wow. I would go with I'm like Priscilla, and I'm sure I'm a big fan of our hmm, oh my God. I would say the shrimp and grits bowl. That's a favorite of mine. And then
Okay.
gosh,
What about the apple crisp pancakes?
the apple crisp pancakes is
That's another
definitely
good
the
one.
apple
Yeah.
crisp pancakes. That's definitely a thing.
I'm having a Wendy Williams moment. My mouth is watering
Yeah,
right about
the
now.
apple crisp
That
pancakes.
all sounds amazing. That sounds
Right.
amazing. So in the minute that we have left, tell me, what would you say to either a person that's now entering into entrepreneurship or a couple that, what'd you call it, Priscilla? A couple,
Couplepreneur.
a couple. What would the advice be?
Well, Rick, let me pull out my scroll because I have a lot of pointers.
Okay.
But if I had to pick one, it would definitely be to just remain resilient in the industry, whether you are in the hospitality field or even in online commerce businesses. You have to just remain resilient. You will have peaks and valleys, ups and downs, highs and lows, you name it. But as long as you keep, steadfast and be resilient and keep your eye on the prize, you can definitely do it.
Okay, John.
I would say just know that you're in a relationship, that you're in a relationship first. So make sure that you always take care of your loved one first, and then from that point on, concentrate on the business, on what you can do better, and the goal every day is to improve and get better. So definitely take care of your loved one on whatever their needs are, and then just focus on the business, on things that you can always do better.
Well, well said. And I will be there for breakfast soon. Okay. But I want to thank you for joining us again. Congratulations on being our business spotlight of the week. And for more information about Eggs Up Grill Riverview, the QR code is coming up now. Arlene Brooks, as you know, is a friend to the show. But Arlene is also one of my sheroes because when it didn't look like she would, she could, and she did. Coffee Speaks and She Talks is celebrating its 4th anniversary this morning.
Yay!
And not only are we celebrating that, we're also commemorating tonight's finale of this season of
Yes.
Jazz Under the Stars. Congratulations, my friend. I'm so
Thank
proud
you,
of you.
thank you. Thank you, Ricc Rollins, my EEP.
Yeah, I will always be that.
Thank
You
you.
are one of the dearest people in the world to me. Now, let's talk about this. Let's bring the people up to speed in the time that we have. One, let's
Okay.
talk about the finale and that it is not over. It's just the season finale for Jazz Under the Stars.
That's right. That's right. We just ending it in November. That is the last of the season. Jazz Under the Stars, of course, the highlight is going to be celebrating going into our 4th year with Coffee Speaks and Tea Talks, as well as ending for Jazz Under the Stars for this season. We'll be back in March of 2023, and that is the plan at this time. So tonight we're featuring Jay Singleton and the All Purpose Band.
Okay, well, that's going to be an exciting time. Anybody that has not been, you need to go, and the QR code is coming up right now. And it'll sit there through the rest of the interview. So now let's talk about 3 years going into 4. See, there she go. I knew she was going
I'm
to
gonna say, are you trying to make me cry?
I'm not trying to make.
You're not gonna do that today.
No, but you know, the old folks would say, when I think of the goodness of and all that he's done for me, and because it was not easy. I mean, we've talked about this before. This isn't an old story, but for somebody that's watching the show for the first time, when you started, there was a whole year where that beautiful space that you're in now was nothing but half done work.
Right.
And here you are celebrating you've gone through the pandemic. You pivoted in the pandemic, and that's how Jazz Under the Stars was birthed. And now you're doing Jazz After Dark, Poets Cafe. You've got Jazz Unplugged, Gospel Under the Sun, Blues Over the Moon, all of that. And most people do not understand. It has not been easy. So this is worthy of a celebration.
It most certainly is. And what I say most about it is that God gives you the creativity to continue to move in the space that you're in. And that is what has been the most phenomenal thing, Rick, is that God continues to give me ideas or to expose me to things that he wants me to do. So this celebration, and as being November, the 2019 is when we started with Coffee Speaks and Tea Talks. And like you said, the journey hasn't been easy, but I tell you, it has been the most fulfilling thing of my entire life at this point.
Well, I am so proud of you, as I said. And like I said, when I get down or I get frustrated, it is WWAD. What would Arlene do? It really is. And I just know that I thought that we should carve out a moment this morning, because you have been a full-time advertiser on this show, and you've been a friend throughout this journey as well. And I just thought you were worth celebrating this morning. So Arlene Brooks, we celebrate you. Happy anniversary from Goin.
Thank you very much.
And you going places, girl. Straight up.
I think so.
Okay. Thanks for being with us.
We're moving. Thank you, Rick. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your continued support. I love you.
Welcome back to this edition of Going Places. As you know, Thanksgiving is fast approaching, and that is a time when people travel, when they go places. And speaking of going places, here to help us maneuver and understand what we should and should not do is our good friend, Mark Jenkins from AAA. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, Rick, thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's talk about this. You said when we were talking earlier, one of the busiest in history.
Yeah, we're seeing quite the resurgence from the pandemic. 2.9 million Floridians will be traveling as a whole, and that's really the strongest travel numbers that we've seen in nearly 2 decades. So we're back to 2000. We've surpassed 2019 levels and are now looking at the second busiest Thanksgiving travel holiday on record.
Wow. So can you break that down for me as how we're traveling this year?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of people do choose to drive because of the convenience. Oftentimes it's a little more cost effective than, buying a flight and a bunch of plane tickets for, a large family. So if you're traveling as a large family, oftentimes driving tends to be the preferred method. But of course, about 7% of Thanksgiving travelers will be flying. In Florida, that number is 203,000 Floridians to fly. That's not even counting all the other people who are flying both domestically and internationally outside of the state. But then in terms of other modes of transportation, about 22% of travelers looking to take a cruise or travel by bus or even train. So, there's just a lot of moving parts, this Thanksgiving. And so I think the bottom line here is that if you are one of those millions of people who are looking to travel for Thanksgiving expect it to be busy. Expect busy roads and long lines at security checkpoints at the airport.
Okay, speaking of busy, what's the busiest days that that we shouldn't be traveling this year?
Well, I think it's really up to each individual to find the day that's going to work best for them, but it might come down to timing. So the busiest day on the road is set to be on Wednesday afternoon and early evening before Thanksgiving, and then following the holiday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon and early evening. So if you are looking to hit the road on those days, the best advice is just leave early. If you can hit the road before 11 o'clock, that's when the congestion is likely to begin building. If you can't leave before, dinner time, then maybe after 8 o'clock is really the best alternative.
Okay. And so with people traveling, and like you said, so many people traveling by car, there's always that chance that they're going to get stranded. So now, being that you are the roadside service kings, what's your advice for them?
Get your vehicle checked before you hit the road. And that's really a great service to yourself, because many people are not just traveling for Thanksgiving, but will likely do so in December as well. So, make sure that your vehicle is properly maintained and road trip ready. We're expecting to respond to about 411,000 stranded motorists nationwide.
Wow.
And oftentimes the calls that we receive are for the top three common reasons: dead batteries, flat tires, and lockouts. A couple of those things that you can avoid with a simple bumper-to-bumper inspection with your vehicle. That'll likely, hit off any kind of issues you might have before you have them. And I think that it's important also to note that, while you're driving, we are very active out there right now trying to remind people and educate them about the move over law as it currently stands. The law requires drivers to slow down and move over when you see flashing lights for first responders and tow truck drivers. It's a very dangerous place to be on the roadside. And that's also for, drivers themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, people have breakdowns, they have flat tires, and they find themselves on the roadside. The law currently does not protect them on the roadside, does not require people to move over for stranded motorists. But, we strongly do encourage people to do so. Extend that courtesy to your fellow driver as well. If you see someone broken down on the roadside, give them some extra space too.
We're almost out of time. Before we go, I want to remind you, Lauren Gay's back with part 4, the conclusion of her Icelandic adventures. Dr. Nabugi talks about adopting a senior pet, since November is Adopt a Senior Pet Month, and we'll have much more. We hope that your journey is blessed, and we'll see you next time. From everyone here at Going Places, happy Thanksgiving. See you next week.